Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday. It's January 3rd, 2024, and this is your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan from the beautiful Daily Detroit studio at Techtown. I'm Jer Stays, and across the table from me is
Shianne Serini.
Producer Shianne. Always good to see you.
It's great to see you too. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Have you shook the rust off?
Kinda. It's still holiday mode.
Do you see how tall this coffee is?
I do. Do you see how tall this cup of water is?
It's big.
Yes.
It's literally taller than my laptop, friends. And is that bedazzling?
It's iridescent.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Very niche Detroit reference. Pewabic pottery, Mary
Yes.
Chase Stratton, and the iridescent tiles.
Yes. No wonder I like it so much.
Today's show, we're going to be giving you a great preview of fun ideas of things to do in January. This is much requested. I think we're going to try to do this every month where we highlight some of the events, interesting things happening around town. And I can't wait to share a bunch of recommendations for you that will also be in a companion newsletter that we're sharing. But Shianne, we've been away for a while. Where have you been?
We have been away for a while. Yesterday, I spent my New Year's Day at IKEA.
Did you get Swedish meatballs?
No, we did not get Swedish meatballs this time. This time, we...
Lingonberry?
No lingonberry. This time, we decided to go to an old throwback from our days way, way back in the day. That was BD's Mongolian Grill.
Does that still exist? Serious question. It does exist.
It exists in Canton.
The magic of Canton.
I guess so. The first place we were going to go to was closed because it was New Year's Day. And so I was looking around for restaurants that might be open. And I said, babe, there's a Mongolian Grill over here.
Remember when BD's was like the thing in Royal Oak? And everywhere else, it was like the date spot, everything. Like BD's was like the center. And then it feels like one day it was like, deuces, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, all of them closed. And I was just like,
not all of them.
Well, not all of them, apparently. But I remember way back in the day. Do you remember that Mongolian Grill that was on Mac and Maross in that area? And the person who opened it was friends with my sister from high school. And he tried to get a franchise for BD's. And at the time, they wanted like over $1 million. And this was in the 90s.
So was it the same? What was it like? Was it a time capsule? Has it been updated? I have so many questions.
It felt like a time capsule and everything was good, right? Like obviously things changed after the pandemic. I was a little bit, I don't want to say weirded out, but I was like, I wonder how the protocols are going to be.
Because last time I went to a BD's, it was years ago and it was up by the Golden Circle, the art piece on M59. I don't even know if that's still open.
I don't even know if that one's open.
That was definitely before the pandemic.
It was.
That was like a long time ago, like two relationships, like a long time ago.
I know. Everything was good. We took our 2 kids with us. And so my oldest was like.
It is open, by the way. I just Googled it.
Oh, is it?
So I just want to give people the facts that if you're on the east side, you want to go there. I believe there's one also in Novi.
Okay.
But anyway, continue.
He thought it was pretty cool. He got to create his own meal and he watched them cook it because for his birthday in November, we went to a hibachi place. And so he was like, so is it like hibachi? And I was like, well, yeah, kind of. They cook it on a grill, but they cook everybody's like at the same time. So he thought it was cool.
It was such a thing. By the way, I also during this learned Dearborn.
Oh.
Michigan Avenue. So if you're closer inner ring suburbs, Dearborn's pretty easy to get to. Michigan Avenue, super easy to get to.
Yeah.
If you want to experience this. I'm curious because I imagine that the pandemic changed a lot of things. And the thing is you could drive that bus so far off the rails with Mongolian. And sometimes I would just grab things that did not work.
Yeah.
To just troll the cooks.
Yeah, just to see what they would do.
Or like try to fix your mess.
Yeah. It was an experience for my child. So
what was your go-to dish?
My go-to dish is usually a lot of vegetables, either beef or chicken. Yesterday, I put some noodles in it, and then I always do soy sauce, the ponzu sauce, tons of garlic, and then all of the seasonings I can possibly get in there.
I would always do the unlimited whatever, and I was telling myself I was eating healthy.
Right.
In my 20s, I didn't realize how much salt was in soy sauce. But
oh, yeah. Yeah. Like if I wish they had low sodium soy sauce. I don't put a ton of soy sauce in there, but I try to add.
2024, land of the coconut aminos.
Oh, right. Exactly. Anyway, Jer, enough of my Mongolian Grill. What have you been doing?
I saw in the flesh, and I begged for this person to be on the show to no avail. Because, of course, why would he do it? There's no reason. I went and saw John Oliver in person.
You're so lucky. I'm jealous.
It was an amazing show. In fact, I would say it is the best stand-up show I have been to in easily a decade.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so funny, so witty, so many local callbacks. Like he's done his research, even though he hasn't been here in like 6 years.
Yeah.
Everywhere he goes. Like, does he wake up in the morning and have like a researcher in the other room ready to tell him facts about the world?
You know he does, Jer.
Or like in the Uber, do you get like Uber research and you get somebody riding next to you? Because he's always ready to go.
I mean, he's got HBO money, Jer.
We do not have HBO money. Patreon.com/Daily Detroit. We can have a little money.
We can have a little bit of money.
He made some great jokes, but one of them that was really good with the local callback. He was talking about the Fox Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And there were jokes even in the warm-up act about how opulent the Fox Theater is. And I hadn't been to the Fox since before the pandemic, but I've been going to the Fox off and on for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
It is opulent, but the joke he made will forever change how I think about the Fox Theater. He's like, the owners looked at the design plans and there were different ideas, and he went, all of them. And that is what the Fox Theater is. All of the architectural designs pasted into one thing, and it is so true.
It is.
The colors, everything else. It is, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It is gaudy. One comedian said it was Liberace's fever dream, a Fabergé egg. Like the whole time he's like, this place is too nice for me to be performing here. He's right. But I will never look at the Fox Theater again because it is true. It is all of the styles pasted into one.
He's absolutely right. It is. Jer, you know, the last time I was at the Fox Theater, it was a great disappointment because I went with my mother to see Van Morrison, and it was the worst concert I've ever been to in my life.
I was about to say, you had expectations?
I mean, he's been around for decades and decades and decades. So yeah, I had some high expectations.
Well, but so those longer term acts go into one of two buckets. Either they're absolutely amazing, or it turns into a croaky struggle, or you're Kiss and you just decide to make a hologram of yourself.
How do I put it? If I wanted to see Bob Dylan, I would see Bob Dylan.
I've heard Bob Dylan's actually a terrible show.
Oh yeah, I've heard it's a terrible show as well. But I could not make out any single word that Van Morrison sang.
And nor could anyone of Darius Rucker for New Year's Eve.
Oh, really?
On CNN. He was not good.
Oh, wow. Anyway, I do love the Fox Theater. The best show I've ever seen at the Fox Theater was Bare Naked Ladies New Year's Eve
that
concert.
Would be a good one.
In 2008. It was the last concert I saw with Steve in it. It was after all of his giant cocaine problem.
What was your first thing you saw at the Fox?
Oh, I cannot even remember. It was probably something for a school field trip.
I went with my grandmother. I was in middle school, and it was the Nutcracker, and I absolutely loved it. But for a third of the thing, I couldn't stop sneezing.
Oh, no.
I'm up there in the upper deck or whatever, and I'm so embarrassed because I can't stop. Anyway, it was absolutely wonderful and got me definitely into all of that. Let's get into what people can do this month. Since we've been and we've made you jealous of the shows that we've attended. And go check out the Fox if you haven't in a while. It's a fun time. Let's talk about January because there are some great events in Shianne. I'm going to say you go first. You've brought some listed things. I brought some lists. As I said, we're going to echo this in a newsletter about some things to do in January.
So, Jer, I know you and I, months and months and months ago, we were talking about the great food truck race.
Addicted. Randy and I feel differently about this, but I'm addicted.
Right. So this is a callback to that show. But Kana Detroit is actually popping up at the Congregation for 2 days, January 9th and 10th, from 5 to 9 p.m. So if you want to go, get some food.
And I hear some big snow is coming during that time, so like you can get some warm food. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is about her is that, and I know this stuff is edited all wild, right? So I don't know what actually happened, but she's got people who have some strong feelings about her from the TV show. And I'm all about supporting it either way, because at the end of the day, to keep a show entertaining, even if you think she's a heel, you got to have a heel.
Oh, yeah. You always have to have the bad guy, right?
Yeah, I was listening to some podcast where they were talking about this dating show where the first season they were absolutely everyone loved this woman.
Mhm.
And then the second season it also didn't work, but then they re-edited it again and just showed you how much like those reality shows can bend things, especially the dating shows.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to definitely check it out because that is
It's Pakistani food.
all about it. And if you don't know about it, spread your horizons. And the Congregation's a great venue. And I'm sure we'll throw an event there ourselves. We've thrown them before, but
Yes.
it's such that porch is something special.
That porch is great. So it's a great summertime party vibe.
Next.
We're going to stick on the snow theme. So the Ford House in Grosse Pointe is doing snowy Saturdays at the end of January. And that is when you can rent or bring your own snowshoes or skis and snowshoe the grounds of the Ford House. And if you've never been there, it's beautiful. So you get to experience the Ford House in the winter and kind of like explore. And it's a great event for like you to bring your family to as well.
And they've done some recent renovations there.
I believe
like in
they
the
have.
last like couple of years.
Yeah.
So something to check out.
Yeah.
And if you're into snowshoe, that sounds like a heavy workout.
It is a heavy workout, but obviously it's as long as there's snow, right? So it's January 20th, 27th, February 3rd, and February 10th.
And there's a lot of, isn't there like a bird preserve over there or something? So
there
there's a
is.
lot of cool stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. It's right on the lake. It's beautiful. And also, if you're heading over there, if you've never been to the Ford House, do a tour.
My favorite room, what is it? The Art Nouveau? Kind of like inspired by 30s trains, like pre-art, like not quite Art Deco, but a little bit different.
Yeah. And then also they have the garage so you can go in and check out all the like cars and stuff. It's a great, great home to check out. You'll need to get tickets in advance. So if you do plan on doing this, grab your tickets from the Ford House website and we'll have it linked.
Now, this one from the Wright Museum you put in the rundown. Very cool.
Yes. So the Wright Museum currently has an exhibition going for Afrofuturism in costume design. This exhibition showcases all of the work from Ruth E. Carter, who is this Academy Award-winning costume designer. So think Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing. And if you love those movies, I highly suggest going over to the Wright Museum and checking out this exhibition. And obviously, while you're there, check out all the other exhibitions as well. If you have a kid that likes Marvel movies, go check it out. It's so cool. And I am looking forward to going. This exhibition will be open until the end of March.
But as with a lot of these January things, this is the time of year.
Oh, yeah.
Do the indoor stuff. Get your steps
Exactly.
in, whatever, in these spaces. And I do like a good museum visit in the summertime because also air conditioning is
Yes.
nice. But when it's this cold, it's going to be colder.
And gloomy and gross.
Yeah, you can get away from all of it and just kind of vanish in a museum. It's a great way to spend a day and just see stuff that you normally wouldn't see.
Yeah.
Another thing to do is to cozy up with a book.
Yes. So my final thing to do in January, Jared, did you ever like the Scholastic book fairs as a child?
Of course.
Oh,
Do I not look like I grew up as a nerd? I absolutely did.
I love a book fair, and Sidetracks Bookshop in Royal Oak is partnering up with the North End Tap Room in downtown Royal Oak, and they are putting on a grown-up book fair.
Ooh. And when we say grown up, let's be clear, this is not for the kids.
No, this is at a brewery. This is for adults only. And come bring your grown-up money and buy all of the fancy erasers you could ever want.
Fancy erasers.
Okay, I might be.
You're being very specific.
I'm
here.
being very specific, but they're going to have all kinds of books and they're going to have all kinds of different like gifty ideas and gifty things.
Circle back to the eraser. Okay, explain the erasers to me.
So erasers were always like the little cheap things that you could get if you didn't have a lot of money. You could buy something from the book fair if you could only buy like maybe one book and then like an eraser or a bookmark. Because I don't remember
Do you
really.
collect them?
Yeah. My love of office products has been my whole life. I love all kinds
I'm
of
surprised the
stationery
studio
things.
isn't covered in custom Post-it notes or something.
I mean, it could be. Jer.
Actually, if there's a swag item people would like, dailydetroit@gmail.com. Now is the time.
Yes. Please tell me.
We've got the rocks glasses, sending those out. We got a new shipment of rock glasses in.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something specific and you're a member or you're not, just something that, would be very cool to have, let us know, because this is the season. It's the beginning of the year, all that stuff.
Right. Okay. Let me tell you when this book fair is actually going to be. It's January 10th from 5:30 to 8, and it is at the North End Tap Room in Royal Oak. So this is that brewery where it's the serve yourself brewery.
Oh, yeah, that's the hot thing.
Yeah.
There's a few of them now.
There is. But they're also going to be kicking off the Books and Brews Bingo that's going to be going through winter. I don't know what that entails, but that's what it says.
And do we tell the people what we're working on?
What are we working on, Jer?
You know what we're working on.
Jer, you just threw this at me and you said, catch.
If anyone's worked with me for years, they know that that's how I am.
Catch this new Daily Detroit book club.
Right? So we're working on the frequency. I'd love to hear from people. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Are you looking monthly, every other month? We're actually thinking you can come here to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to some other venues too, don't get me wrong, but we can kind of use the studio as a place to meet up and talk about these books. If there's something that you're interested in, topics, I know that we can always do the urban plannery stuff and the city focus stuff. There's some things that I definitely would want to share with people.
Right.
But I also think we should do some fiction.
Yeah, because honestly, I'm a big fiction girly here. I do
Your
think
Goodreads list as long as a CVS receipt.
yes, it was very long last year. It was over what I wanted to read, so I did meet my goal, but there are other people who read a lot more than I do. But I did read 68 books last year.
Dang. So you are the right person to be in charge of this.
Maybe. We'll see. Hopefully the books will keep my interest. Anyway, we're not exactly sure what this is going to look like, but
We want to start in February.
we want to start in February. So
All right.
I will be planning that and let all of you know. So Jer, what are some of your choices for January?
Well, January, as I said, great for museums. Go check out the DIA. I know it kind of feels like always people say go to the DIA, but that's because it's a really cool place. And if you want to experience it, you should do it in more than one day.
Yes.
Or take a couple afternoons, get a little bit of a stroll in. It's going to be harder to get your steps in
Yeah.
this weather. So the DIA is a great place to do that and just check out some art. Right now, what's going on through March, the masterpieces of early Italian Renaissance bronze statuettes. And this calls to me because my dad was a sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
So I am all about this kind of stuff. I have not checked this one out yet.
Me either.
I do plan to. There's also the Japanese dolls
Yes.
that are over there. So a couple of exhibitions to check out specifically. But these are the little statuette, right? That's what that means. So you can go into a room and check out all of these little different bronzes. Some of them are just, absolutely stunning with Italian artists. And I just appreciate that. And so I think it's a good thing to check out the DIA free
Yes.
if you live anywhere around here. I will also mention the Pure Detroit Fisher Building Tours
Yes.
because the snowy expanse of Detroit with all the snow on it, if we do get some snow at some point,
Right.
beautiful to see from many stories up.
Mm-hmm.
And the Fisher Building is a great time to do this tour. Again, you're inside, you're checking out all the cool architecture. One time, and I don't know if that floor is still available, but one time, many years ago, I took this tour and I went to a floor that I took a picture from, posted on social media, and my boss had worked there 30 years ago, which was pretty funny.
That is funny.
But the Fisher Building is an absolutely stunning work of art. And we're going to see more things happening around it with everything with MSU. Obviously, I go to the Fisher Building for the Broadway and Detroit stuff.
Yes.
Always good to check that out. They've always got,
Peacock Room.
you name it, right?
Yep.
There's just so much. Mature. We
Yeah.
had them on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Looking to do a little bit of clothes shopping. They've got a new space. And there's that little cafe downstairs. There's just stuff to do where you can go in there and check it out. And I would love to see a retail renaissance in the Fisher Building where you can just park, go in there, check out all these things.
Yep.
But the tour, you're going to get a lot of history. It's on Saturdays at 12 and 2. I'll put a link in the show notes to the Eventbrite, something to check out. Another thing, on January 20th, a backstage tour in partnership with the Detroit Historical Museum of the Detroit Opera House.
Oh, Jer.
There's only so many tickets left right now, but you're going to want to check this one out. The Opera House opened up in 1922 as the Capitol Theater. It's like more than 4,000 seats, but it's a great venue. So much history, just gorgeous. And when it was built, I did not know this. It was claimed to be the 5th largest in the world.
Wow.
So, I mean, Detroit has so many seats when it comes to entertainment. People do not realize just how many seats Detroit has and how many cool venues that you can go to. But a historical tour behind the scenes, the costume and prop shops, come on, that's got to be awesome.
That sounds right up my alley. We know how much I love theater.
So basically, you're going to be like tapping and booking a ticket after the show.
Probably.
All right. If you do want to go outside, the Fire and Ice Festival in Valad Park is coming up, and it is coming up right around the corner. That will be on Friday, January 5th, Saturday, January 6th, and Sunday, January 7th. Valad Park's very cool. It's on the east side, East Riverfront, kind of between downtown and Belle Isle. They've done an amazing job with it.
They have.
I love taking the dog on a walk through Valad Park. So there will be oversized fires.
Ooh.
There will be turkey legs.
Turkey legs.
Yeah, because there's going to be a little bit of like a Renaissance fair vibe because some of the performers are coming. So you can do, something a little different. Also, you can take a picture on an iron throne.
Okay.
You know, if you want to do something like that.
Yeah.
The big deal, the Fire and Ice Tower will become a bonfire at 6 p.m. on Saturday. It's 7-foot ice structure. And they're going to turn this into a giant bonfire. So if you want to see big fire, well, controlled big fire. And I feel like I know that you have a kid who would just be like, flames. And he would be very entertained by this.
He probably would be. He would be jumping around. Although, so would my mother, honestly. She loves a good bonfire.
So this is something to check out. That is coming right up, January 5th, 6th, and 7th. The festivities on Saturday and Sunday start at noon. And as I said, the big bonfires on Saturday, something to go check out. And just, enjoy another corner of the city that maybe you have, or maybe you have and you haven't done it during wintertime.
Yep.
So we're going to close this out with some listener feedback, Shianne.
Okay.
Because we're all about things to do, right? And January, in other cities, I learned, and I knew this in the back of my mind, but thank you to listener Jill for bringing this to the front, who writes, moved here from Chicago. Where are the restaurant weeks? Where I'm from, restaurant weeks are in January or February when it's slow, and it helps bring people to go try spots for cheap or less money.
Yeah.
There's a history here, Shianne, about why we don't have restaurant weeks in general. We did a little bit of research before recording this. They're in an interesting state. Let's be really polite here.
Yeah.
They're in an interesting state right now, especially because of the pandemic and everything else. But there's a historical reason they have never been at the same time as, say, New York or Chicago. And I understand some people's concerns about not wanting to spend money right after the holidays. But the point of Restaurant Week has always been try a place when it's normally slower and get a deal. The deal is the function. Like restaurant weeks don't understand that the deal is like the functional part of this. They usually miss the mark. Anyway, but there is history behind this.
Isn't our history the fact that the auto show is always in January, Jer?
Yeah. This would be if you're new to town, or frankly, the auto show has not been in wintertime since 2019.
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of people who never knew it at this time. And I used to go to the auto show every year. It was a gala affair that booked up almost every restaurant and bar for 2 weeks in January and made a huge amount of their money. And it's not just about showing the cars. This was like 5,000 press people.
Yeah.
That would come through Detroit, and there would be all of these events paid for by the automakers. It was for decades. This thing where you couldn't get a spot. There were times that you couldn't just go to a restaurant in Detroit because so many of them were all booked up for the days around auto show. I remember one time walking through Greektown, and every single bar, every single restaurant booked up for auto show. You just couldn't go to dinner.
Yeah.
And so there was no need for a restaurant week in Detroit during that time. There has been restaurant weeks at other times.
Yeah. They're usually in the fall.
Yeah, and some of the suburbs do restaurant weeks, but it's weird. It just feels like it really hasn't caught on as much. It had I'm getting stuff in my Instagram from all over the country for restaurant weeks coming up, and some beautiful stuff. And I wonder, Shianne, is it time to really lean into a winter restaurant week? It's too late now, but for next year, to think about it as a restaurant week that highlights the best, but also, let's not forget, there needs to be a deal. That's the thing. If there's and I don't want to level the criticism at any one specific thing because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's important it's a deal.
Yeah. The thing that I liked about when we did have a regular Detroit restaurant week, which I want to say it was like 2 times a year when it was like really, this is like 10 years ago.
Yeah. We've kind of lost the train on this one.
We've lost the caboose.
And the sleeper
And
car.
the sleeper car, it's gone.
They're in a ditch.
We have no idea. The train has like derailed. We could go to a really nice restaurant and have like a prefix dinner. And it was like,
$15.
yeah,
20
$15, $20, maybe $30 if it was like a fancy restaurant. And now it's just like, okay, but where are the deals?
Well, also, where's the event?
Yeah.
There was like a little thing that happened recently, but it was in the middle of the week.
And it was in November.
Yeah, it was like at a weird time, and I didn't get press materials of it until like very near when it happened.
Yeah, it was like right before it happened. And I'm like, okay, well, where's the planning involved in this?
Because we did a little bit of research for some other nearby restaurant weeks, and they're like, save the date on their website. We tried to email them.
Yeah.
No response. They're out of town. So like, save the date for like later in January, but there's no other updates.
Mhm.
You got to organize it. You got to communicate about it. And I think with the auto show, I think permanently going outside of January. And even if it did come back, it's not the same event that it was. It's
not.
more of a car show than
Yeah.
it is one that justifies all the other spending that they did.
Mhm.
I wonder if it's time. Maybe we don't call it Restaurant Week. Maybe we call it something special. Or the people who did Restaurant Week wake up, or maybe they can tell us why it just didn't work, or did the pandemic kill it? But Chicago, New York, and a lot of other cities are coming back with theirs sometime in January and February. So, Jill, we had a history. There was a reason. And I think if we're going to have a Restaurant Week again in this season, we need some organization.
Yeah. The Detroit Restaurant Week website still hasn't been updated since like the pandemic.
Well, that's a sure sign.
Yeah. So I don't even know who is running this. We don't know.
I mean, maybe they own the name or something. We'll have to
Maybe.
call it something like Randy Eats Everything.
Yeah.
Engineer Randy Eats It All. And he just picks his favorite spots and we all go to it.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see.
So thank you for the question, listener Jill. And if you've got questions, dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. And if you run a restaurant week, reach out. Like, I don't mean to like throw shade. I want to know about them, highlight them, show the work, all that other stuff.
Yeah, because
But-
I mean, I used to be in charge of telling people where to go and what to do around town, and I would always highlight restaurant weeks, and then it just kind of
Poof. Even before the pandemic.
way before the pandemic. So yeah,
Or if you're a listener and you're like, hey, maybe this is something I'm interested in, or you think, we're dumb. That's okay too.
that's fine.
Shianne Oserini, thank you for spending this Wednesday with me.
Oh, absolutely, it's been a blast, Jer.
Absolutely. Listeners, as always, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting your daily Detroit. With that, I am Jer Stays.
And I'm Shianne Oserini.
Remember that you are somebody. Leave 5 stars on your favorite podcast app, and we'll talk tomorrow.